There are powerful things that Jesus promised his people could do. Things that, when understood and harnessed, have the ability to literally change cultures and kingdoms. Such things that I have done and experienced myself. But the truth be told, there are millions like me. And you yourself were even made for such things too. It's not an easy path, but it's a path most worthwhile. On this path, I've seen and done things that for most of my life, I never even believed were real. Things that inspire one to go deeper, pay a bigger cost, and risk everything that's left. Things that enlighten and bring tangible meaning that redefines life as we've each known it so far. My accounts are not for everyone, but for those willing to brave the fear of the unknown, and for those who sense there must be more to life. These testimonies are for you. There's so much more for you. Are you ready? May this encourage you.
To date, I've turned invisible on 2 different occasions, both times with a witness. Yes, I know how that sounds, but you hang in there. This is for you too. The first time it happened, I was taking a shower. And I was in there under the power of God, preaching to the tile wall and prophesying and speaking in tongues and praying and worshiping. I was just in a place of like really deep heart fire inside. I'd been praying 2, 3, 4 hours a day, worshiping. I mean, I was on fire for Him. I had dreams about Him. Just like, and again, this was my early days where it was still like honeymoon phase. And so it was just that raw, unbridled, honeymoon love for my God and all the things that I knew He was going to do through me. So there I was taking a shower. I get done. I dry off, have a towel on. I get out of the shower. And about that time, the bathroom door opens. And it was my wife. Now keep in mind, the bathroom literally, like where I'm standing between the counter and the wall, it was about 3 feet wide, and I'm wide. I'm 225, 5'9". Okay, I'm stocky. A guy as stocky as me does not occupy a 3-foot square of space and not be seen. Do you understand me? So she opens the door. She looks right at me, but like her eyes was hollowed out. It was like really, really bizarre. I didn't know what was going on at first. And I was just sitting there staring at her like, what's going on? I didn't know. It happened so fast. She turns around and walks out of the bathroom, calling my name through the whole house. And I'm sitting here like, what just happened? Then I hear her going upstairs and she's yelling my name. And I'm like, what? What is going on here? And I sat there stunned for a moment, and then I started hollering. I said, I'm down here. And she goes, where? I said, I'm in the bathroom. And again, I'm yelling this through the ceiling. And I hear her yell back. She goes, no, you're not. I was just down there. You're not in there. She's arguing. And I'm like, what is going on? Our bathroom was tiny. It was a tiny bathroom. She comes down the stairs and she goes, where were you? And I said, I was horrified. I was like, what do you mean? Where was I? I was staring you in the face, not 5 feet away, in a bathroom that's this wide when I'm almost that wide. What do you mean, where was I? She goes, well, I went in the bathroom. You were not in there. You ever see that movie Fight Club? It's that scene where something whacked would happen and then you hear the narrator say, we have lost cabin pressure, as the actor's face had like the stunned look in that scene. It felt like that. I didn't know what had just happened. Well, we discussed the matter and it didn't take long to realize that she was staring right at me and yet didn't see me. I was invisible, literally invisible. There's no other way to explain it. Believe me, I've tried. Tiny bathroom, big guy, 5-foot distance. Oh, and by the way, that woman is one of the most observant people I've ever known in my life. We call her Google because she can find anything. If you lose the car keys, I'm talking, you can lose your car keys under the bed or something ridiculous. In the trash, she'll find them. The girl don't miss anything. Now, the second time, I was just coming back from a friend's house, and I was driving in my van. It was about a, 10 to 15 minute drive. And as I was driving, I was worshiping and loving on my dad and just worshiping him and loving on him and singing and just making stuff up. And I don't sing good, but he don't care. But my heart sounded great, apparently. So I get home, I pull the van up in front of the house, and I hear him in my spirit like speak loudly, and he says, get out of the van and go stand right next to the van in the yard. So I'm like, whatever, no one's around. It was like 1 a.m. So I thought there's no witnesses. So I get out, I go stand next to the van. About that time, I hear him say, quick, around the side of the house, and I run around the side of the house. So for the next 5 minutes, I was in this deep, deep place where it was like Paul said it. He said, I don't know if I was in body or out of body. It was like that, And again, keep in mind, I had been living in a very heightened spiritual state for quite a while. I mean, praying 2, 3, 4 hours a day, worshiping around the clock. I mean, I was on fire. When you live like that, you're so in Him that these things happen. So I'm in that state, and he starts showing me this whole thing about how Elijah would get into the palace to go give a message to the king, which was not a popular message, and then somehow he got away. It's never explained in the Bible how he did it. I mean, if you think it out, how does a man go through courtyard and all this stuff and the door and hallways and getting into the throne room to give a message to the king without getting intercepted? How does he do it? Well, I didn't understand what the Lord was doing to me at the time, but he shows me this whole thing and showed me that Elijah would turn invisible at times. Other times he would hide around, like a column. He'd hear the Lord say, quick, or in this doorway, or quick around this column, or whatever it was. And Elijah would do it instantly. And about that time, the troops, the guards would walk by, and the Lord navigated him like you'd navigate a rat, in a maze from above. That goes on for a few minutes, and it was really neat. A lot of stuff happened. I could go on, but the point is, it ended, and he's like, okay, go inside. We're done here. That's okay. I go inside. My wife was asleep, so I go to bed. Well, in the morning, I wake up, and she asked me, she goes, where were you? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, I heard the brakes squeal in the van last night. And I walked to the window, and I got to the window and looked, and I didn't see you. You weren't in the van or walking up to the house or nothing. Now, remember that. Then she said, I was so confused I didn't know what was going on. So then she said she walked around to the door and came out in the front yard to come look in the van, to try to figure out what's going on, and I was nowhere to be found. I was on the side of the house. As the Lord was showing me what He was doing to Elijah, He was doing it to me. Now, we got to talking about it, and I told her, I said, yeah, the van, the brakes squeal. I turned it off within 10 seconds. I was outside the van, standing next to the van in the yard because He just told me to. Now, keep in mind, here's the van, here I am, here's the window to the house. So for her to see the van, she has to see me standing in front of the van. Now, it was night, but the front yard at that house was very, very bright. You don't miss it. Was obnoxiously bright, and the van was white. You're not going to see me. I mean, you're not going to miss me standing in front of a white van at night in a light. In a yard that's lit up. Obnoxiously bright. You're not going to miss that. Again, I'm stocky, and it wasn't a large yard. It's a tiny yard. You're talking 15 feet, maybe 20 feet from where she was to where I was. And she's staring at the van and didn't see me. Anyway, we worked through the details and realized it happened again. And so, I've told these testimonies to people over the years, and I've had people ask me stuff like, "Well, how'd you do it, dude?" It didn't even like that. I don't even know, man. I have no idea how it happened. What I know is I got so close to Him, so on fire to my Father, that in His presence, just odd things happened. And again, I have hundreds of stories like this. These are just 2 where I turn invisible. They're cool sounding stories, and they are cool. But the point is, though, that, I say this all the time, and I have to because we need to hear it. No man is greater than his prayer life. You can't pray 10 minutes a week and expect to have any kind of tangible, manifestable, proven connection to the Spirit of God. You got to soak yourself up in Him, because as human beings in this world, prone to the pulls of the flesh and distractions and things like that, we leak. We leak His presence. We leak Him. So we got to stay in Him constantly. And if you allow yourself to be caught on fire as you behold Him, you will indeed start to grow in Him in ever increasing levels of glory. Things will always be happening, bizarre, beautiful things, spiritually romantic things that are so romantic spiritually that it just woos your heart and makes you just fall in love with Him over and over again, because you made a choice at some point to cast the distractions of the world, to cast the distractions of family life and all these things to the side, so you can spend quality, on fire, lit up, powerful time, passionate time with Him. 2 Corinthians 3, 16 through 19, that whole chapter really. There's a statement said in there where it says that Jesus removed the veil, and so now we behold the Father with unveiled faces. And as we behold His glory, we are transformed into that image, into what we were viewing, which is Him, in ever increasing levels of glory. Guys, as the days get darker, our faces need to get brighter. We need to learn how to behold Him face to face. We need to learn that we really, really were made for the unveiled life.